Here he is, the man himself, Cody Garbrandt. How cool is this? Right off the plane. Unbelievable. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Great to see you. This is, I have to say, we've been doing this show 9 years. No one has ever come from JFK to our show straight.
Straight. That's how we do it.
Look at you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. How are you?
Doing great.
You're doing good?
Flight.
Yeah, no problems?
No problems.
You were in L.A.
L.A.
I saw on your Instagram. What were you doing there?
We went down there. My business manager, my brother lives down there, so flew to L.A. for the day, and it was easier to fly out. There's no direct flights to New York from Sacramento.
That is right. Yes, I like Sacramento, but I hate when there are fights there because there's no direct flights.
There's always
it's such a pain in the ass. Who wants to do a layover?
Flights, no one.
And the book. So when officially does it come out? Does it come out this week?
Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Yeah, the big day's tomorrow. So super excited for that.
Okay, so we have a lot to talk about as it pertains to the book. How did this idea come about? We know about the story. You've talked about the story, but to actually, go in and pour every detail about your life and Maddox's life, how did it come about?
Kind of just, I mean, after the Cruz fight, we were, working with WME about writing a movie and things like that. I thought I kind of was moving a little bit too fast, kind of pulled back from that, and it wasn't until I met with my business manager and met with a book agent, and kind of like the story came out, and I think it was the right time. I think there was a reason why we didn't, go from there, and now it's, we're doing it now.
Right.
But I think it was just the timing of it all.
So I said at the beginning and before you walked in, one of my pet peeves as a sports fan is like when someone's in the midst of their career and they come out with a book, right? Because it's like we know you have 10 more years left, so much can happen to you. But this one feels different because it's about something that happened. Like it's life story, but it's also an inspirational story. It's a motivational story as well. And you've already experienced it all, right? So that's why when I read it, I was like, I get it now. I understand. Initially, when I heard like Cody Garbrandt's doing a book, I was like, man, this guy's got another title to win. He's got a title reign. But now it makes sense, right?
Yeah, I look at it like this. This is the pact that we made between me and Maddox. That chapter, we was able to reach that goal. That chapter's kind of closed. We do that and we're right on. We add more chapters to it. And so like I said, timing's everything. And that's why we decided to come out with the book. And super excited as he is. And he'll be here. He's flying here tonight. So he'll do a little bit of the media tour with me.
Yes, I was hoping to have him in studio as well, but I know the timing didn't work out. Was it difficult though? Because you're talking about a lot of personal things here.
You know what? Actually, at the time of my life that, I needed to have this motivation or look back at how far I came. I was dealing with almost a whole year with injuries, to defend my title against TJ. And going back throughout my story with the author Mark D'Agostino and, writing this book that we did was very motivating to see how far I came and adversity and just everything that life throws at you. Just to be able to, keep brushing yourself off and keep, striving forward. And then, obviously meeting Maddox, and that was a huge part of my life. That was a big turning point in my life, meeting him at the time in my life that I needed redirection and to keep my faith, on something that I love to do. And here he came out of nowhere and just, gave my life more purpose.
How old were you when you met him?
I was 18 or 19. I think
And it was via Facebook, right?
My brother introduced us. I was actually training in strong style in Cleveland. So it was like 2 hours away from my hometown. And my brother hit me up. I was kind of making some poor decisions, life decisions. Wasn't really fully set on training or fighting. I was still being an amateur, trying to figure out life. I left college twice. Was about to go to the coal mine,
Wow.
Yeah, I was felt like I was selling out, and that's something I didn't want to do. So I was kind of in that period of, becoming a man. You're going to keep doing this, or you're going to chase this dream where a lot of people, think, can you make it? Can you provide for yourself with fighting, especially from a small town? I had a lot of people telling me, go back to college, or go to the coal mine to work. And so he reached out to me about Maddox and the Maples, what they were going through, because he was still living in the hometown, so he had the, still stayed with the hometown stories. I was just trying to get away from my crowd that I was with. I always hung out with some of the wrong people. I had to really move away a couple of times, and I always kept getting drugged back. And this time I really wanted to make it right, and met with Mick through my brother, reached out to him on Facebook about, Maddox was diagnosed with leukemia and all the things that they went through. And, my brother's a big motivator, big inspiration to me to get back, back on top, back in the training, stay off the streets, stay out of the bars, stay out of, getting in trouble. He was always the one that kind of kept me in place at a time I needed it. So he planted the seed about, hey, you should do a fight, get the town rallied together, involved, the communities, really a tight-knit community about, doing this benefit for Maddox, of selling T-shirts and tickets and, basically donating this fight to Maddox. And, I thought it was a great idea.
At this point, had you met him yet?
Never met him.
Wow. Had he ever met him?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, but yet he felt very strongly about.
Yeah, I think that, I think that we had a good following, from our sports playing, junior high all the way up to high school, with wrestling and football, that we had a good crowd coming to my fight to show support to me so we can get kind of like, get everyone together and benefit, for Maddox and show him that his fight matters kind of thing. Remember me reaching out to Mick and on Facebook and saying I would like to meet the family and, get to know a little bit about him. And Mick responded back to me and said, we're in the hospital. Once we, are able to get home, get cleared, and Maddox is a lot of time visitors, we'll message you and invite you down. And it was probably a few weeks in between from my first message to him, and we stayed in contact. And I would ask weekly, how is he doing, and any sign of coming home. And then finally, Mick reached out to me on Facebook and said, hey, we're home, we're allowed having visitors, and Maddox would love to see you.
Wow.
And I was living in Cleveland, so I drove home the weekend. I usually would come home on the weekend, see my family and my sister. And my sister was the same age as Maddox. So I think that's what initially kind of like struck me as, wow, my sister could be going through this.
Yes.
And I'd want someone to kind of help out as well. So that's what kind of really kind of just drove me to like want to do it more. And then after meeting the family and Maddox, it was just, I left that day just kind of felt changed, challenged, and renewed, kind of to live life with more purpose than what I was doing. I think that in the time that I was doing in my life, I was probably a more darker place in my life. I didn't have much motivation to, I was kind of, felt like I said, I was selling out. It was like, do I chase this dream of, becoming a UFC fighter, world champion, or do I, I done left college twice,
Why'd you leave?
Just kind of lost the passion for wrestling, something that I didn't want to do. I wanted to fight, it's something that I always wanted to do. I loved to fight ever since I had my first fight, but I had people my whole entire life, don't put your eggs in one basket, go get a degree. I never really cared for schooling. I wish I did, wish I applied myself a little bit more in schooling, but it worked out. I went to the school Hard Knocks, and it turned out, it worked for me. I'm very thankful for, went to college, tried it. No one in my family has. My brother went to college on the full ride to Ashland, and later he was kicked out 2 weeks into it. I ended up getting in a fight and shattering the dude's skull and going to jail. So
the same brother that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and he's never like a troublemaker. No one ever really kind of fought with him. He's always the bigger brother, so I always wanted to, test me.
How long was he in jail for?
He did a little less than a month.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was, kind of, it was a house party kind of, fight and, kind of escalated with this girl. And this kind of crazy thing, I kind of got the news from, I was in high school and I was getting ready for my football game, and like, my mom called me and kind of told me that. I was like, man, that kind of, it's not like Zach to,
yeah.
I mean, really to get Zach, pissed off it's you have to really be doing something. Obviously, I think the guy said something to his girlfriend or whatever. Yeah. So that was Zach. So then it's like, damn, I have to go to college now, so I have to, I want to make my mom proud. That's something that I've always wanted to do, with whatever I did. So I went to college at Newberry College in South Carolina.
Okay.
We actually have a lot of teammates that are in the UFC, Corey Anderson. There was like Kelly Edmondson, he was in the Ultimate Fighter. And so I went down there, and so it was cool, we'd wrestle, and then on the weekends we'd do some MMA.
Oh, really?
I had a couple fights before I went. I had some fights when I was in high school.
Okay.
I turned 18 right going into my senior year, so I had
amateur
some
fights?
Yeah, some amateur fights. And so kind of dabbled in it down there, and then just college wasn't working out for me. I didn't understand the scholar athlete. I thought I was an athlete scholar. I mean, I'd make it to practice, and the schooling, I didn't didn't make it to. I didn't understand that. So yeah, it just wasn't for me. I wanted to fight, and then left. I remember calling my mom, you know, hey, I'm going to withdraw from college.
This is the first time or the second time?
This is the first time.
Okay.
This is the first time. I was nervous as hell. I thought she was going to drive to South Carolina and whoop my ass, you know. I remember calling her, and she said, okay, you know. Just started packing up my stuff and made the haul back to Ohio. Moved back in with my mom. You know, here I am, you know, trying to figure out life. Started getting back in the gym. Had a couple fights. Was doing really well. And then, you know, I kind of just got in the wrong crowd, you know, kind of small town thing. I dabbled with the wrong people, drinking, partying, kind of lost a little, definitely lost focus. And, you know, I was just hanging out with the wrong crowds and ended up getting talked back going to college. Went to Cleveland, Notre Dame of Cleveland. And I was sitting in there, the class the first day, and I'm just like, what the hell am I doing here? You know, like, I signed to wrestle, and you know, it was NAIA, ended up switching to Division II and clearinghouse and all these regulations. And coach told me I could fight. You know, kind of, you know, obviously I'm on scholarship, so that comes first. So I withdrew again. I wasn't even there a week. I remember calling mom the second time, like, shit, here we go again. You know, so I was already living up there. I was staying with my my buddy Dante Arini. I remember renting out staying on his couch for a little bit and just training. That's a couple of times I did, you know, for a couple of weeks and months at a time. I would just stay on his couch. He was an all-national champion for Notre Dame and Cleveland. He was an assistant wrestling coach, and he's the one that talked me back into kind of going back to college. He's been my friend for quite some time. And he would ride me so hard about, like, man, you're an idiot. Like, why are you leaving college? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna fight? Like, he thought it was, like, unreal, too. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, if I could kick your ass, I would. You know what I mean? But it's keep you in college. But, you know, I would stay on his couch and then rented a room off of him in the house, and I still stayed up there and trained, and finally it just wasn't working out at strong style. I ended up moving back home. I was training with my uncle in, like, a pool barn, horse barn. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, it was, we just hit pads. We have some people come in from wherever and spar them.
At this point, are you pro?
No, I'm amateur.
You're still amateur?
Yeah, I'm still amateur.
You're not making any money off this?
No money off this.
How are you living?
My uncle owned a construction company, so I would get up. I would usually do a CrossFit at 4:45 to about 5:45, 6 o'clock. Shower up, be on the job site by 7:30.
Damn.
Work construction. We'd do pools, you know, pool forms and concrete, and work with him. It was fun, you know what I mean? He was my uncle, so he made it fun.
Is this the jab uncle?
Yep, this is Stingray. This is Sting.
The craziest. Every time he does that, I see on your Instagram, I feel like his shoulder's gonna pop off.
He always tells me, he's like, man, the older I get, because I'm gonna be leaving my arms on the ground.
It's unbelievable.
He always does it, but yeah, he's been like that since I've ever known him. You know, since I was a young kid, he was always doing a jab, shadow boxing, or just showing us, you know, combos, or he's always thinking fighting. And so I worked with him, and then I would, you know, once I left Strong Style, I was training in the barn, and I was like, man, I gotta almost turn pro. Fight Club Pittsburgh Fight Club with Mark Cherico and all these guys in the area that were really, really tough professional fighters at the time. I ended up going over there. So it was like a 2-hour drive too. I would do that, drive 2 hours, train, come back after, you know, waking up, doing my CrossFit, working, training. And it worked out, and it was, you know, I did that for a few months until the owner of the gym asked, like, hey, I'm starting a fight promotion organization. I'm like, you know, would you like to go pro? I was like, well, I don't really have plans on going pro. I will. He's like, yeah, you can stay with me, you know, 4 weeks out from the fight, you know, so you don't have to travel so much. I'm like, all right, cool. And, you know, it ended up being a blessing. You know, he was a great guy. You know, he gave me a job at the gym. I was an MMA instructor. I taught the kids from like 5 to 9-year-olds. Okay. So it was fun. You know, it was like teaching little kids martial arts, and they just had a blast. I had a blast doing it. I was able to be in a gym all day. I could train throughout the day, train at night with the pro team when we had pro practice. You know, so it was just about, you know, finding my path, finding my rhythm, and, you know, that all contributed with, you know, meeting Maddox. Like I said, that all stemmed from meeting him, you know, kind of getting out of my, you know, ways, getting away from the people that I was surrounding myself with. Like I said, I met kind of Maddox at the same time that I was, you know, doing some some wrong decisions. Ended up getting into a bar fight and getting stabbed, and that was kind of a time in my life that
You
was
got
like,
stabbed?
yeah, I got stabbed.
Yeah, where?
It was, in my leg.
Wow.
Yeah, in my leg. He stabbed the guy. Stabbed one of my friends too in his arm, severed his bicep. You know, so this guy was kind of going out for.
What was it? What was the fight about?
And it was like, remember, it was a nice day, super nice day, and all of a sudden a storm just blew in. And we only have like one bar that's even worth going to in our town. I mean, that's not, I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it really, you just go there to, you know, either chase girls or drink or fight, and that's more so fighting. And I was picking up a buddy of mine that needed a ride, and next thing you know, the doors open up, and there's a couple families were fighting with each other, and
wow.
brothers were fighting with each other, and it was one-on-one for a while until the one guy started getting the best of the other guy, and next thing you know, this other guy comes in, and it just melee broke out. And it was raining. We were in a gravel parking lot. I mean, it was a packed bar. Like I said, it was a nice day out, so everyone was out at these festivals or these concerts, and came into this little bar, and you just could feel the vibe change. It was like, oh, it's crazy. And I remember trying to go to my car, you know, like it was after the, you know, big melee, everyone just started throwing haymakers, people were getting dropped. I'm like walking over bodies knocked out, trying to get to my car. This kid comes out of nowhere, this guy comes out of nowhere, and he's like, I'm spouting off that he's been to prison, this and that. I'm like, look, man, I don't want no trouble. I'm just getting out of here. And I kind of felt like something hit me in my chest. It was like the end of hit me with like the end of his hand, but it was weird. Like I didn't think he threw a punch, so it was kind of like, this guy trying to fight or what?
Yeah.
Till finally I saw that my buddy Chris was like holding his arm and saying, this guy stabbed me. And I was like, oh, this guy's got a knife. And next thing you know, a car turned the lights on. I saw the beam of the knife. So I was like, oh man, we gotta, you know, kind of just defend myself. And, you know, defending myself and getting away, but he ended up stabbing me in the leg and I'm getting stapled. So that was a time that I was like, okay. And before that, I mean, a few weeks before that was in a bar fight too. So I was like, man, like this is just too close. I gotta stop doing this. I gotta change my lifestyle up, you know. And then, you know, I met Maddox, you know, shortly after.
So you had not met Maddox at this point when you got these fights.
Yeah.
Did you go to jail as well?
No.
You never?
I never been arrested, knock on wood. I've never been to jail. I have no record.
Your father was, right?
Yeah, he's still in prison. Yeah.
Oh, he still is?
Yeah, he's still in prison, yeah.
For drugs?
And drugs, I mean, he has like, his last stint, he's doing a 10-year stint. He did,
He's had multiple stints?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He's been out in prison my whole life.
Okay,
yeah, my whole life, so yeah. It's crazy, it wasn't until, I didn't talk to him for nearly 10 years. It was after the Cruz fight. He'd always call me throughout the years, and it's like, we have a collect call from inmate John Meese from Chillicothe Correctional Facility. You know, I'm like, oh, I never let it. You have to like press 1 to accept it. Remember, I was going to rehab. It was after the Cruz fight because my knee was, I tore my knee in the fight, so I was going up to rehab, and it was a good like 30-minute drive. I said, whatever, I just accepted 1. Called, and he's like, you know, answered it, and that's the first time I've talked to him in 10 years, and he's like, hey man, he's like, man, I just want to, you know, congratulate you, you being the world champion. He's all high strung, you know, and he's high energy. And, you know, I talked to him. It was like a 15-minute call. I got to talk to him kind of. You know, that's the first time I talked to him really like that. And I'm probably my whole life, but it was, you know, nice. He said the guards got to let us, you know, watch because my Uncle Mike was in the same penitentiary as him.
Wow.
You know, so that's Robert's, my boxing coach. That's both his brothers. They're in the same penitentiary.
Wow.
And, you know, so they're like, yeah, the guards let me and Uncle Mike watch the fight. He goes, you sure did beat his ass. He goes, they let us watch the 4th round. They said that was the best part of the round, so they let him watch the 4th round a little bit of the fight. And so I called, and that was it. So now, I mean, he'll call randomly, you know what I mean?
Do you answer those calls?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I mean,
you guys are good.
You know, I don't know. I just kind of answered. I remember calling my wife, and I was like, man, I just talked to my father for the first time in like 10 years. And she was like, well, how was it? And I was like, I don't know. We talked 15 minutes straight, just kind of, you know, what have you been up to? You know, he was, you know, really strung out in drugs. I mean, we used to sell him drugs as teenagers, you know what I mean? Like that's,
you used to
oh, yeah, we used to go there and sell him drugs and get high with them. He got one arm, he got his arm blew off when he was like 12, so we'd always think it would be cool taking our friends there and be like, oh, we saw him a little 8th or whatever, and he'd roll it up with one arm, he'd roll the joint and put it in his stub and then smoke it. I mean, that's the kind of the people that we had around us, you know.
Wow.
So it was.
How'd his arm blow off?
He was climbing up a telephone wire, a big one, and was trying to steal the copper out of it to sell in the black market, and all his friends said that the line was dead. And they climbed up there about 150, 200 feet, and the line wasn't dead, and grabbed a hold of it, and blew his arm off, burns all over his body, you know,
Whoa.
falling all the way down. They revived him a couple of times, and then, you know, so he's had some, you know, my uncle always said, my uncle Robert, who was my boxing trainer, who was my father figure at that time, you know, the younger, he'd always come get us, take us to the boxing gym. He said he always lost his confidence, and then he just was, since then, you know, he always was on drugs, trying to just, you know, mask the pain or whatever. But yeah, so he was always strung out on drugs, you know. A couple times we had to go out there. He had the courts ended up giving custody to we have a younger brother named Dakota. I think he's about 11 now, and he was super young. I mean, he was just probably walking, and I would go out there. I feel bad for the kid, because this is like, John's got to take care of him. You know, I remember going out one time, and he was getting fucking sprayed by the hose in the middle of winter in Ohio. You know, that's his bathing him. Wow. You know, so I kind of felt obligated to go out there and like make sure that he was okay, and I'd bring him toys. Zach would too, but you know, it was just one of those things, man. Like,
he didn't live with your mom?
No, it was so he had a different mom, but the courts give custody.
But so your parents didn't live together? They divorced?
Yeah, my mom took us out of that situation at a young age.
Okay.
You know, she knew there wasn't a good upbringing for us. You know, my mom's a savior. She's an angel, so she knew that. You know, she was young, had 2 kids, and you know, she made sure that, you know, he abused her. You know, he's a woman beater. He was not a good man. You know, on drugs, but you know, for whatever reason, I just accepted the call. And I don't know if it was just see what he's been up to. I just know maybe a lot of the times in my life I held that hatred towards him, and maybe that's why it affected me and, you know, my emotions maybe. But you know, I just cause I just had a son. I just had my child. He's 8 weeks today. So
Mazel tov.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, so that really changed my whole entire life. You know, and I just kind of feel bad for him. You know, John, he never got to experience that. He never was there for us or any of his kids. He has a couple siblings, you know, he was just never there for us. So it's like, as a blessing just to be able to be a father and to be a child, or, you know, to have a child. So yeah, I mean, that's that.
How many times do you think you denied his collect call?
Years.
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 What is that like, to get that call and to be like, nope? What does that do to you? That must bum you out, right? That you don't want to talk to him?
Honestly, there was never a time that I was like, I could just sit here and talk to him. Like, what do I have to say, or what does he have to say? You know what I mean? Like, maybe I was at the point in my life too where I wasn't maybe ready to talk to him or wanted to talk to him. You know, we had him in our, you know, our uncle was in our life a little bit. I was like a teenager. He came to one of my boxing matches, and he was good. He was a heroin addict, strung out in heroin, and you know, he was out for a stint. He was in a halfway house, but he had a pending charge, so he was out for probably 8 or so months. He would come to the fights with us. He would work out with us, and he was a good guy out of drugs. You know, when he wasn't on drugs, and got mixed up with some wrong crowd again. Got back in the bike gang and went back to prison. And he would call us. You know, he'd be like, "Oh man, they did me wrong. They did me dirty. You know, I'm in the same penitentiary as John." So it was like, for that long time, Mike would call us. You know, Uncle Mike would call us, but John would never. Mm. And Mike would be like, "Yeah, you know, I talked to your dad." And I was like, "Man, that's not, you know, that's not my dad. You know, that's John to me. And I don't, you know, my father's, you know, I know who my father is." Things like that. And then, you know, he says he loves you and thinking about you. I'm like, this dude hasn't called in years. You know, I've just had to start a relationship with you, you know, as a teenager, and you're calling me and checking up on us and, you know, telling the stories. It's funny because he called me. You know, everyone's a bullshitter in prison. Everyone's got their stories, but John and Mike would tell him that they were our nephew and I was his son. No one would believe those guys, you know, until I told this story of like why I have tattoos and why I like tattoos. Was Uncle Mike was he was a tattoo artist. He would send drawings home from prison, and my grandma would have them on the refrigerator or have his books, you know, when he would go to prison. So we'd always look through them, and you know, his artwork would be in there. And I remember he used to live outside our grandma's house in a trailer, like a little mobile home. And I remember at a young age, man, I remember him shooting heroin and watch him shoot heroin and tattoo people. I remember just vividly. I didn't know what it was until I was like, man, he was doing heroin and tattooing it, you know, just crazy. That's why I was like always just like kind of like tattoos. You know what I mean? Didn't know nothing wrong. So it was just common. My grandpa had tattoos, my father, my uncle. And I told him that story in like a tattoo magazine. I think it was Tattoo Magazine, actually.
Okay.
And he got the magazine that said that, and he showed the inmates. And
wow, and that's how they believed.
Yeah, and they're like, well, you ain't bullshitting us, he said. So, yeah. So.
Have you ever visited your dad?
No.
You
I
plan to?
I think he might get out in a few months. Oh. Yeah, I think so, yeah. I spoke to my grandma and grandpa, so I think he gets out in a few months, or is up for parole. So I don't know. I actually talked to him after I had my son. I said, yeah, man, I'm not going to help you get out here. He's like, I would like to, make a maintenance, trying to, get a relationship with you guys. And, I was like, well, if you can make it out here to California, here's where we're at. You can see your grandkid, things like that. Like, I don't know, man. I think.
Are you ready for that, for him to enter your life at this point with everything going on in your life? I
think so. I think that, I've changed in the last year and a half, for the better. You know what I mean? Like, the injury did a lot to me, being able to, be in the grind, be passionate, be able to fight. That was hard for me. That was a really challenging
back injury, right?
Back injury, not being able to fight, not being able to do something you love. I love getting up every day and challenging myself to get better, and that's what training. That's why I love MMA, because every day your worth ethic's judged daily. You get up, you do 2, 3 practices a day. You can do 1. You can, so that's why I love MMA, because there's something new to learn every day. You can just always see your progress. And I wasn't able to progress. The only thing I could focus on was being healthy, was trying to get healthy. I kept going all over these miracle shots are going to heal your back and you're going to fight in 4 weeks. I couldn't even walk, couldn't even do anything. Flying all over the world to get these best shots. And it was a challenging year last year, especially when I wanted to defend my title so much, especially after coming, after a masterclass performance with Dominic and just riding that momentum, but I finally feel like I'm back to where I was before, even better than before, even better before when I was fighting Dominic. Everything in my life couldn't be more blessed than I am today. So I'm super thankful for everything, the book that's coming out, to go out and, share our story. I'm a Maddox, where I'm from, things like that. The dream that I held on through everything, through my life. And now this new chapter, it's August 4th against TJ Dillashaw and getting my title back. That's the only sole focus I have right now is, getting my title back. That's motivates me every day. Do you think that if you don't meet Maddox, you're not sitting here, you're not a fighter, you're not successful, do you think you would have ended up in prison? I always say things happen for a reason. Yeah. For whatever reason we met or we came into contact with each other, there was a reason for it. And definitely, I don't think if Max didn't appear in my life with the fight that he was fighting, I probably wouldn't have. I was going down the wrong path. I think that was like a wake-up call. Like, this little angel was sent here. Here he is. And, just looking at how tough he was and just how I just knew he was going to beat cancer from the first day of meeting him. Just looking into his eyes, I just felt that. I remember telling his parents that too. Man, that kid's a warrior. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to do this together. And that's the bond that we built. And, I didn't think it would be as big as it is today. I'm so thankful for it. I gained a little brother, a family. We get to do some amazing things. We're from a small town that you don't really get to dream of doing these things. And to have him along this journey has been so rewarding. How were the parents, I have kids too, and if some fighter guy with tattoos was like, hey, I want to meet your son, and I'd be like, who are you? Like, how were they towards you when you came to their life and made this pact? I remember Stephanie, which is Maddox's mom, said, if you could tell me that, you told me a couple years ago that Maddox Maple, or my son's role model, was going to be Cody Garbrandt, I'd say, oh shit, we're in trouble. Yeah. And I remember her saying that in an interview, and I just kind of laughed, and it was, it was like, I wasn't doing the right stuff, I think that's why I had those delays in my life, I think I had this light at the end of the tunnel was being a world champion, but God always put these delays in my life because I wasn't doing the right things. I was always getting delayed with this, like the stabbing or the setback, the losses, and see how much I can, see if I'm deserving of it, and then Maddox came into my life, and I just totally felt, like I needed to change my whole entire way that I was living, and I had a lot of help from other people that kept me in line and stuff, like my mother and some other father figures in my life. So I'm thankful for everyone that's, you know, played a part in my success and where we're at today, you know, the wins and losses, you know. That's why I like that fighting, it's hand in hand with life. You know, there's peaks and valleys in both. You just gotta never be too high, never be too low.
And you were knocked out in your last amateur fight, right?
That was the first fight that I did for Maddox. We had the whole town in there. We had Maddox's, man, that place was covered in orange shirts. So I remember he had a Mad About Maddox shirt. And everyone bought the ticket, got a shirt. And we had that place packed. I was pumped. It was supposed to be my last fight before I went amateur. And I was
pro.
Oh, I'm sorry,
yeah.
Going pro, yeah. I was whooping this kid's ass. I mean, I just whooping him and just came out the third round. I was like, all right, I'm gonna put him away. Next, you know, I wake up in the locker room like, what the hell happened to me? You know, I mean, that was the first time I got knocked out, and wow. I didn't think anyone could knock me out. But from that knockout, that's what made me be a world champion. You know what I mean? That's why I was so, after TJ, you know, hats off to TJ, congrats to you, you know what I mean? I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I was able to win the world title at a young age. I'm thankful that I was able to lose at a young age. Because I was already good before that, and this is what's gonna make me great. You know, I always learn so much from my losses, you know. Look, I lost an amateur fight where it was supposed to be my last amateur fight going pro, and people were like, oh, you think you're gonna make this? You just got knocked out as an amateur. You know, I went on to win 13 fights straight and become a world champion, the best in the world. And so that's why I'm so motivated now. I just, you know, took it all in, you know, walking out of the cage, out of the octagon on November 4th. You're like, all right, we'll run this back. I knew 100%, you know, 100% that we'll get this shot again. Didn't care how long it had to take me, you know.
Are you surprised it's happening so soon, that it's your next fight?
No, they called me to fight TJ in March on a 4-week notice.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I just got a shot in my hand. My hand was still messed up. I haven't been using it. Got a cortisone shot in my hand. I said, okay, yeah, it seems like it's good. I'll test the pads. Let's do it. For a couple of days that it was like, oh, the fight's almost done. I told my wife, I said, hey, you know, I know we're gonna have our son soon. I want to take this fight. I feel supremely confident in going in there and picking up where I left off in the first round. You know, I'm in shape. I've been training hard. I'm motivated. I'm healthy is the main thing. Being healthy, the whole thing going into a fight, you can be as healthy as you want. Everyone's tough. Everyone's fast. Everyone's strong at this level that we're fighting. I'm fighting the best guys in the world. You know, and that's what I want to do. That's what I aspire to do. It's the mental thing that separates them. And my mental state wasn't there, you know. Not to make any excuse, I just wasn't healthy. I couldn't put myself...
November 4th?
November 4th, I couldn't put myself in a fight against TJ.
You couldn't?
I was putting a fight against myself of getting healthy.
Huh.
You know, I kept going, I have to postpone it. UFC, you ready for this date? I'm like, oh, I'm not ready, sorry. Then I was like, man, in my mind, I was like, I don't want to have, you know, hold up this division for a year, you know what I mean? Lesson learned, you know what I mean? Like, went out there, I was able to do great things really coming off the couch, not really training for the fight. I remember having to go to Vegas a couple weeks before the fight and getting 8 epidural shots on my back, you know, because I couldn't walk. But it's like, what am I going to do? Keep pulling out of this fight?
It was so personal between you two.
Yeah.
That, like, you handled it supremely well, but when you went back home, did it feel worse because it was TJ that did that to you? Because
no,
it was so personal?
No, it didn't. You know, I was like, hey, I walked out of the octagon and I was like, you know what? I remember saying, I'm going to remember everything about this. Everything about this walk back to the, you know, without my belt. TJ getting in my face after I was knocked out. You know what I mean? I know damn well that dude would never, ever do that if there wasn't that referee in there. Never, ever. He's a coward. That's it. You know, he wanted to act like that. He's not a real champion. Yeah, you know, getting in my face like that and then flexing on my coaches, it's cool. You know, I'm going to remember all that, and that's what motivates me in training, you know. So I'm going to get that one back for everybody, and mainly for myself. You know, that's a fight that I want. I think it was a lot of people's fights last time. I really couldn't focus on putting myself in there because I wasn't healthy. I'm big on visualization, you know, putting myself in, manifesting it, and I just could not put myself in there with TJ at the time because I was just picturing on being healthy. I wanted to have a good week of training. That's what I pictured and I hoped for, prayed for. my back would hold up, you know, and I could push the limits. But like I said, man, my coaches and I were able to accomplish a lot in those short amount of times that we had to get ready for the fight, you know. So lesson learned, you know, I got to do all the right things, the smallest things, the minute things, you know, to keep the focus, you know, and I'm excited to be able to run it back and definitely, you know, wipe that smile off his face, you know. You know, we did the press conference. He looked like he, you know, brushed up on his shit talking. That's what I said to him after. I said, "Hey, man, looks like you know, you worked on your shit talking."
So that because everyone went crazy. They're like, oh, they're shaking hands, they're buddies.
He's like, it's business, man. He like wouldn't even look at me. He's such a coward, bro. He's like, it's a business. It's like, I understand it's business. Hey, you're the champ. You get the pay-per-view sales. Look, I'm focused on coming back for what's mine and taking that title off, and that's it. So if you want to, you know, have this drawn out, back and forth, Twitter media wars, it's cool, man. I'm not focusing on that. I'm focused on myself. And he's like, it's business, you know. And then he asked me how my kid's doing. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna be, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even think he knows who he is. You know, I just went up to him like, I don't care to have that kind of, you know,
relationship with him.
I mean, I'm not gonna take back anything I did or said, you know, because it's the truth. You know what I mean? Everything I did in the past and everything I said in the past is the truth. You know what I mean? Like, what's said is said and what's done is done. Let's just go out there and fight. He wants to sell these wolf tickets and, you know, become relevant. But it's just, you know, it's what he wants to do. He wants to be relevant, you know what I mean?
Any part of you say, maybe I'll take a fight just to get my mojo back, get a W, and then I'll fight him? Was there any part of you that wanted?
I was going to fight in June. I said, hey, I'm ready in June, whoever you want me to fight. I want a top 3 guy. Yeah, I said a top 3 guy.
Yeah.
And they came with the Sunstyle. I said, okay, perfect. June 9th, Chicago, let's go.
What happened? They wanted this.
Next thing you know, I get a call a couple days later. Hey, you going to fight TJ in a month, March 3rd? I said, yes. And let me ask my wife. I'm good with it. My wife's cool. She said she just won't be at the after party.
That's
That's all I needed to hear. I need the okay from the wife. And then, like I said, for a couple of days, it was, you know, hey, I'm pushing, I'm sparring. I think I probably sparred 15 to 20 rounds in 2 days just to kind of get my timing and stuff back. I wasn't able to spar the last fight. I wasn't able to train in the last fight, so I was trying to get all the things in. I just got back from Thailand, so I was out there just, you know, honing my Muay Thai skills with various camps out there, and kind of just having a little vacation with my wife before we had this baby. And, you know, a couple of days, it's like, oh, it's, you know, the UFC brass is saying that it's looking good, it's looking good. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna keep humming. And a week went by, or a couple of days more went by, and then he's like, we're still working on it. And then it was like, yeah. And then TJ came on, I think, your show, and started spouting off a bunch of excuses, saying that he had a baby 6 weeks ago, his gym's in California, he lives in Colorado. But his coach, he lives right by his coach. You know what I mean? My coach, my striking coach lives in Ohio, was ready to get on a flight, had a standby flight, ready to go. Like, hey, we're ready to work whenever they call. So I said, you know what, I'm not gonna wait on TJ. You know, I appreciate you guys giving me the offer, the fight. I wanna fight in June. If it's a Sunsal you're giving me, then it's a Sunsal, June 9th. Went back to work, went back to training. I'm gonna focus on having this child and then balancing, you know, the father and fighter life. And, you know, like, man, we appreciate you. We need more fighters like you willing to step up and fight and stay on the card, you know. And I was like, yeah, no worries. We're gonna make the rematch. It won't be March, but we'll get a date back to you. They came back later that night and said June 9th, Chicago, TJ. I said, okay, perfect. Midwest, let's go. Give a treat to the Midwest fans. And you know, and it was a week went by. You know, it was like, okay, they have no contract, nothing yet. And Ali hit Ali up, say, hey, what's going on? I said, oh, they're still working on it. Hit Hunter up, oh, we're still working on it. Like, okay. Then it went to July. And then it went to August. Then it went back to June. And I was like, look, Ali, I said, listen, I am not having my return postponed by TJ because he wants to fight this, he can't fight here. And then now he just ended up getting hurt. You know what it was, he couldn't fight in June. So he said he was hurt. Like, okay, look, I'm fighting June 9th, whoever it is. If it's not TJ, it'll be a Sensao, you know, and that was it. And then TJ wants to go on there and talk all kinds of shit that's saying that I don't deserve this and that, deserve the title. He worked 2 years to get it back. That's because he feels like he's entitled, because he's lived with a silver spoon. He's been spoon-fed with that thing. You know what I mean? He's never had to come in over any adversity. You know what I mean? Nothing. You know, hats off to him to be able to come back and get me in a fight. But, you know, now we're August 4th. He can talk all the shit that he wants. Because I'm just focused on, you know, having my book do well. Hopefully it, you know, inspires and motivates a lot of people around the world. And just watch my child grow, my family grow, me progress as a fighter and as a human. I really feel like I've gained so much strides in my life, you know, mature, everything. And it's going to be a different fight this time. You know, he thinks it's going to be easy. And I want to keep thinking and have him think that. You know, he keeps saying it's going to be like the Brow fight. I tell you what, I'm no Brow, and he knows that. He knows that. He knows I can keep that up the first round to the 5th round. The way I whooped his ass like that, he's going to be in for a long night. But he's got to have those he's kind of a middle midget. He's got to have those coaches and people around him, kind of like yes men, to kind of fill his head. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the fight. You know, training is great. The gyms, everyone, team's good. We have so many fighters coming up. You know, Alex Sandoval's fighting. We have
Chad's coming back.
Chad's coming back in Smiles Jury. He's looking phenomenal in the gym. I mean, Chad's one of the. I mean, I usually go with Chad every chance I get. You know, he's one of the most explosive, fast twitch, you know, powerful fighters, and just super athletic. We've got Elkins there, and Elkins in there.
That's right.
And we have just so many guys, but yeah, I'm super excited for Chad to come back. He's looking great in training. He's really honed in his training. His cardio's off the charts. Skill level's always there. He's a freak athlete. But we have so many of our fighters coming up that have UFC fights, and then all of our amateurs and some of the kids that grew up in the amateur system through Team Alpha Male that Uriah's had since, you know, real super young as they've been turned pro and just been killing it. I mean, the level of our team, we ended up having basically an introduction class Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But so it's like people that just develop their skills. So that's at 7:30 to 8:30, and then we have our pro practice from 9:30 to 11. So we're like, just the level of our fighters and the skill level of everybody and the technique. It just, I mean, they're doing some amazing things. Favorite's been coaching a lot. Danny's been coached still. Chris Holdsworth. We have Michael Malott in there. This kid from Canada, super technical kickboxer. Just everyone's a co-op. Everyone's helps out, teaches new techniques, you know, adds on little things in practice. And I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I feel like I've progressed so much in this last 6 months than I have in probably when I first got out to Team Alpha Male.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It is. That's awesome.
I know you have to run in a couple minutes. There's amazing stories in here, as you said, and it's incredibly motivational. One thing that really stuck with me, because people think like, oh, you know, UFC fighter, all is well. When you fought, and we're approaching 2 years now since the fight. Yeah, 2 years. When you fought Thomas Almeida, you had $56 in your bank account.
Yeah.
You had $56 to your name when you fought in the main event of a UFC fight, Memorial Day weekend in Las Vegas. $56.
$56, yeah, I remember.
How are you not freaking out? Why did you have...
That's what probably, I think that when you back someone in a corner like that, all he has to do is, you know, he has no reason not to fight, I had everything to gain in that fight. This was a kid that, man, he
fought cab drivers, right?
Yeah, cab drivers, man, and cab drivers. But, you know, he was undefeated. UFC was getting behind him. He was going out there performing, having some nice fights, amazing knockouts. I think he had 4 fights, 4 performance of the nights, knockouts, you know. The kid was tough. I just knew that where my level was at. You know, I was like, this is the fights that I want. I've been asking Sean Shelby for this. I asked for John Lineker, Thomas Almeida, then, you know, whoever else in the title shot. That's what I kind of wrote down in between. I ended up texting it to Sean before that. And then Lineker obviously got hurt, got sick, pulled out of the fight. I fought Augusto Mendez. Yeah. They called me later like, hey, you can fight in like 7 weeks in his hometown. I'm like, man, I'm not really feeling like going to Brazil. He's like, I was like, just don't put me on the back burner. I like to fight as soon as possible. They called me the next day with Thomas Almeida, Brazil, Memorial Day. I was like, awesome, this is cool. I got a new deal. I got re-signed to the contract to the UFC, got my first main event. I'm like, all right, this is cool. You know, and that's when I started dating my wife now, right before that. I remember going out to Vegas for the media day and like meeting her, taking her to dinner. And I'm like, you know, like Dave Chappelle, you know, he takes a girl out to eat, you know, to what's that movie?
I know the movie you're talking
How
about.
High?
Not How High.
No?
Is it no?
He grabs the money out of the half-baked. Yeah,
right.
Grabs the money off the bum. Like, don't mind if I do.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, we're going to this restaurant. I'm making sure to give my card. I'm like, oh shit, I hope this doesn't decline. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh man. Here we go. We end up going to SDK, did beautiful dinner. And, you know, it was amazing. Ended up, you know, that was it. And met her, and then come out a little bit later and go to fight week, and the UFC gives you
per diem.
Per diem.
Yeah.
And I made sure I gave all my per diem to my coaches so they could eat. And you know, I was like, you know, this fight's going to change my life. I know that I'm going to knock this guy out, and that's it. And knocking him out in the first round, and just on a high, you know. I think I was getting 20-20 then. So for me, that was, you know, some good money. And then I got remember, Scholler came up to me. I was getting ready, you know, the post-fight pictures.
Press conference,
Came up to me. He's like, hey, man, get ready for the press conference. Dana's bringing you back. I'm like, oh, cool, man. I'm like, I had a suit, the only suit that I had, and put it on, hurried up. I still had the Vaseline on my face and wiped it off. He goes, hey, he goes, and you got the $50,000 bonus. And I just remember, you know, just you know, taking it all in. I was like, man, I ended up crying. I was like, man, this is great. You know, I was like, $56 the day before, you know, and then the week of the fight, coming in there and just having that focus going in there, and knowing that this fight would change my life, going out there and performing, and just thankful for the UFC to be able to give me that, you know, the platform to do it. You know, now look at the platform that I can use with us, with Maddox, our story, my life, really changed my life. So super grateful for, but yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you tell a great story about going to meet Dana at his office for the first time, and you took your girlfriend, who you were just probably dating at the time, for like a week or two?
No, it was a few months. We were probably 4 or 5 months then.
But not that long to go like
long.
Meet the boss man. But you said you're in it together. You know, let's just do this. Let's go meet him.
In there, and it was cool. And
that's amazing. And now you have a family.
Family, I mean, so much.
How great is fatherhood?
So much honestly, every day I wake up, man, I'm so thankful. I always, you know, pray to God, thank you for letting me be able to have this blessing. I look down at him, and I come home from training, or I kiss him on the forehead before I leave, and come home in the afternoon, and he's there, and he's starting to get his personality. I say, hey, Daddy's home. Was you a good boy for Mommy? And he starts kicking and starts he got a little laugh now, and his personality's coming along. So, man, it's awesome, you know what I mean? Like,
it's only going to get better, man.
Oh, yeah, that's what I keep hearing. It's only get better, and every day is better and better and better. I just love that little guy, and yeah, so it's great, man. So much change in my life. I'm so grateful for everything where I'm at in my life and where I'm going to go. You know, like I said, this might have been a little setback or a little delay in my life, but if you read through my story, I've always had these little delays or lessons to learn from, and I grow from them. You know what I mean? I grow from my mistakes, and you know, November 4th was just a mistake, and you know, it's going to separate me from being good to great, and I'm super excited for this next chapter in this journey that I'm on now, the road back.
The book is called The Pact. There it is, right over there. Available tomorrow, as Cody said. Amazon, all the places, right?
All the places.
All the places. How long are you in New York for doing this media stuff?
I think we fly back Wednesday to LA.
Okay.
And then we do the LA tour.
Oh, wow. So you got a whole week.
Whole week, yeah, whole week.
Is this a nuisance as far as training, or you will train around?
Yeah, Henzo, I just actually called Henzo before, so we'll probably link up with them.
You see Neiman Gracie? He was
he was just in there. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, great.
It worked. So there was a reason for you to come.
Worked out, and then my buddy Johnny DeJulius, he's with the Rutgers University, so probably go over there and wrestle with those guys. They got some studs on the team, you know, national finalists. And then Jordan Oliver, he just his suspension's up from USA Wrestling, so he's got a match coming up, and he's in I think he's at Cornell.
Okay.
So I love coming to New York. There's so many. I actually love going anywhere you train. Like, the MMA community is so welcoming. I mean, even all the way in Thailand, I was welcome with open arms to every little camp.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's great. So it's like I can always get the workout in. You know,
Is this your first time back since MSG fight in New York?
Yeah, actually, I came to Brooklyn. I was in the Brooklyn fight, so just for the day, just for the press conference. They called me the day before.
That's right.
My mom drove out. Ironically, my mom drove out with my family, my grandmother, my sister, and my little nephew, and my stepfather from Ohio to California. And my grandpa made these trophy cases from the UFC belt, the showcase to put up. Yeah. And it's been however long since I won it. He's been, you know, he didn't want to ship it, didn't want it to break. Ironically, he made 2 of them because he didn't want to make another one and ship them out. So she bought both of them. And the day that she came, I opened them up. I got a call from Ali that I was fighting for the title on August 4th. So that right there just...
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Amazing, yeah. So I already got that trophy case to put the other belt in to get it back. You know what I mean? And so it's great. And then they were out there and had to fly. Like, hey guys, sorry, I got to go to New York.
That's when they go back home.
We went back home, and they were there visiting their grandchild, and just been a good time. And buying a house and right outside of Fair Oaks, in Sacramento. So beautiful home. Just amazing, man. Being able to have my family there. My adopted father just came out last week with my little brother and stepmom. So just having everyone kind of funnel in, see the baby kind of, you know, and it's nice. Danny, her twin sister, always comes, and her friends come from Vegas. You know, it's a little quick flight. So yeah, we're just adjusting to all that in the parent life. You know,
amazing, man.
Yeah, we're a good team.
I'm really happy for you.
Thanks for having me in, man.
And you came in from the fly. I mean, I honestly didn't believe that it would happen, to be honest.
Made it happen. I slept the whole way.
You are the man for doing this, really, because I know it's a long flight. Again, good luck with the book. It's The Pact. I highly recommend it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, the stories in there, the $56. I've spoken to you, like 15 times now. A lot of stuff that I didn't know. So
you covered our first story right after the Henry Briones.
I remember. Yeah. We did the Fox Sports interview back there. Great, and say hello to Maddox for me as well as he comes in. Good luck. Good luck with training, and we'll see you August 4th. Joe's going to walk you out over here. Again, thank you so much for doing this, Cody.